Your question's answered. What does it mean that if we sin willfully, there no longer remains a sacrifice for us? If we sin willfully after we have received the knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a sacrifice for sins, but a certain fearful expectation of judgment. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26 to 27. The word sin in this verse refers to something ongoing as opposed to one event. If a person continues to sin after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there's nothing more God can do. We've been created with free choice, and God doesn't force His will on anyone. If we persist and cling to a life of sinning, our hearts will, over time, harden to God's voice. Matthew 12, verse 31 says, "Every sin and blasphemy will be forgiven men, but the blasphemy against the Spirit will not be forgiven men." This is talking about a continual rejection of God's Spirit, leading to the unpardonable sin. This is a gradual process. It doesn't happen overnight. If the Holy Spirit convicts a person and that person continually rejects that conviction, he will eventually reach the point where he can't hear the promptings of the Spirit any longer. Obviously, we sometimes fall. It's not premeditated, and we don't want to disappoint the Lord. But there is intentional sin when a person says, "I want to do what the world does, and I'm just going to hope God saves me." If we expect God to save us even though we follow our fleshly desires, we're only fooling ourselves. Paul says, "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man sows, that shall he also reap. For he who sows to his flesh will of the flesh reap corruption." Galatians chapter 6, verse 7 to 8. There's no person on the earth who hasn't sinned willfully at least once. If everyone who willfully sins one time is doomed, then we're all doomed. But we know it's not just one sin that separates us from the sacrifice of Christ. It's a continual rebellion, a refusal to learn and mature. And what more can God do to save us if we reject His grace and power to have a victorious life?